You're sleeping. You're sleeping. Stay asleep. Do not fight while I'm filming. That would be fantastic. I'm talking to my cats. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie, and in today's video, I just felt like gushing about some romances. You know, as one does when they have a romance channel.
Oh Lord.
But no, I saw this video done by Naima Reads, and I will leave her channel linked down below, but she just talked about her favorite book from each month of the year thus far. So I thought I can do that. I don't think I've done that yet. I very well could have. And if I have, well, you're getting a bonus one. So I'm going to talk about from January to August, because I'm pretty sure I've read like my favorite book of the month so far in August already. So, and it's already August 26th, so it's close enough. So we're just gonna get into it. I ramble way too much. If you're new here, hi, I like to ramble. So we're gonna start with January. In January, I started off with a bang. I did so well. I was like, yes, this is my year. We're gonna go places. We're gonna read some great books. So I did start the Off Balance series, which I have not finished. I read The Words and I read The Choice, both by Ashley Jade. And when I was looking at it, trying to figure out which book was my favorite, it came down to The Choice and The Words. And I loved The Words. I really did. It was a really good book. But you know what? It doesn't compete with The Choice. And I don't know if that's a popular opinion or not, but I loved this book. I read this first and then I went into The Words. But you don't have to. It's technically a spin-off of The Words. So in The Words, you're following Lennon and Phoenix. And in this book, you're following Skylar, Memphis, and Josh, who were just side characters in The Words. So you're getting their backstory. If you love angst, if you love right person, wrong time, he saw her first, he falls first, just read this. It's so good. And okay, so like, little warning, it is YA. So this whole book is between, I guess, when they meet when they're 13, but then it time jumps a little bit. So I think it's between then it goes to 16 and then 18. So yes, it is, they are young adults. However, this does not read like a YA, okay? The way they speak, what they go through, I never once thought I'm reading a YA book. And I would stop if I felt that way, because I don't do YA. I'm 34 and my YA days are gone. So I don't mix with YA. This does not feel like it, okay? If you've read The Words and you haven't read this yet, do yourself a favor and read this. If you haven't read The Words, I would still say read this first, because then what happens in The Words, it's just so much sweeter. It just makes me happy when it happens. I loved this book. Really, if you haven't read it, just give it a shot. I don't want to, I really don't know what else to say. Well, I should tell you what it's about, but it's about Skylar and Memphis and Josh. Memphis and Josh are foster brothers for all intents and purposes. That would be a cat meowing at my door. They kind of were a package deal whenever they go to foster homes. And they move into this new one beside Skylar's home, and Memphis sees her one night looking up at the stars, and he's like, she's the one. I got to know that girl. Well, she ends up meeting his brother Josh first, and it goes from there, and there's a lot of pining, and there is a reason why this book is called The Choice, and there is a sequel coming out. I don't know when, but it's coming at some point, and it's called The Consequence of Said Choice. It's just do yourself a favor and read it. It's not long. It's such a fast read. Check triggers though, because there are many, but still such a great book. We then went to February, and February was still okay. You know, I read some good books, but my favorite from February was King of Wrath by Anna Huang. I have not like gone on with this series yet. I need to read King of Pride. I just haven't. But this is an arranged engagement book. I cannot. Who is it Dante? I'm feeling like his name is Dante and Ava. Oh Lord, who is it? Vivian. It's Vivian and Dante. I knew I would get it eventually. So basically, Vivian's dad is blackmailing Dante into marrying her because Dante's owed money, Vivian's family's new money, and her dad's just not a very good guy. So to make the engagement seem legit, they move in together. She moves into his house, and it's forced proximity. They're like getting ready for the wedding. You never see the wedding, but they're getting ready for the wedding, and they have to do like this big publicity photograph session for like this magazine for like their engagement, and they have to pretend to be in love, and we all know what happens. And he's like, that's my wife. They're not married yet, but he's like, that's my wife. And I'm like, yes it is, sir. Yes it is. You say that. And I had a good time with this one. So this was definitely my favorite of February. In March was still a good month. I think I read some good ones. I'm looking down here just to see. Oh yeah, because I read like The Dead Romantics, and I read Highest Bidder. But my favorite was On the Way to You by Candy Steiner. It's no surprise that Candy Steiner has made this list because she is my favorite author. This book is a road trip book. So if you're looking for like a good like summery spring road trip vibe, get this book. But check your triggers, because there are. And I don't like giving triggers in videos if you're new here, because I feel like at some point they can become spoilery, and I don't like it when people spoil books for me, because I tend to like to go into my books blind. But I do know some people need triggers, so I will list them in the description. Just find the book that you're looking for. But this book, we are following Cooper and, was it Emery? I'm pretty sure it's Emery and Cooper. And Emery is working at a diner, and Cooper comes in one day and just asks her a very simple question. Something with happiness. I can't remember if it's what makes you happy, how do you know when you're happy, or something. And she can't really answer because she doesn't know, because she's not really happy. And he asks her, he's like, do you want to go on this road trip with me? It's very random. And eventually she says yes. So we travel from Alabama all the way up to Washington, and you see all the sights, and things develop, and I loved this book so much. It's such a good book. But just triggers. Because there are some. But still, beautiful book. I love her writing. I loved all the scenery. I love the side characters you met on the way. Fantastic book. Okay, so we are on to April, I think. Or April, yeah. So I don't have a physical copy of this book, but it is The Bachelor by Marnie Mann. This is book 5 in like the Dalton Brothers series, but I think they're all standalones, and you don't have to read them in order. This book, we are following Camden and Oakland. Camden has a twin sister whose best friend is Oakland, and when they're young, his twin sister's like, you may never date Oakland. You can't do that. It's just, it's a no-go. It's no. Friend zone only for you two. And he's like, okay. But he has a crush on her. She has a crush on him, but it's a no-go because it's forbidden, because for God knows why siblings never want their friends to date their people. I don't know. I have a younger sister, but I never wanted to date her friends because they were younger than me. But besides the point. Years go by, and Oakland is still a virgin, and she very much wants to not be a virgin anymore. So she asks Camden to teach her. So that's basically the premise of this book. Camden gives her lessons, and in the process, they both are gonna fall in love, and it's great. And the spice is good. Was this my first Marnie Mann? I feel like it was. So I mean, I really enjoyed it enough to like make it my favorite of the month. Spice was good. I liked it. I've definitely got to go back and read some more of hers. Okay, in the month of May, which was my birthday month, it was another good month, but my favorite, I don't have a physical copy of this either, is Rewrite Our Story by Kat Singleton. This is book 1 in this, is this Sutter Mountain? It might be Sutter Mountain. But we're following Cade and Marigold, and this is a best friend's older brother trope. It's small town. They grew up together. She goes through something very traumatic when she's young. It's in the prologue, and she goes to their house, and he comforts her, and then we get a time jump. Not like weird comforts her, because she's only like 10 years old, so it's not nothing like that. We get a time jump, and now she is going back to the small town because her best friend and Cade's mother has passed away. So she's going back to the funeral, and she hasn't been there since she left. She never came back to visit. So we get dual timelines, past and present, to find out what happened to make her not want to return when she left. And, you know, you always know it's like something minuscule that happens that it's like, if you just talk, it's fine. But I still enjoyed it. Oh my gosh. There's a barn scene, and I know everyone talks about the barn scene in Sophie Lark's Broken Vow, I think. I haven't read that, so I cannot compare this barn scene to that barn scene, but this barn scene in this book was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. The spice, Kat does great spice. If you had never read one of her books, do yourself a favor and do it. The second book to this comes out soon. Is it like September or October? But it's about the sister. So if you haven't read it yet, go read it. It's on KU. It's really good. Oh, I loved it. And then we go to June. And for June, it was another good month. I have to say, like, I've not had like bad months this year of reading, which is fantastic. But this one stood out to me. This was when I popped my Brittany cherry. And I read The Air He Breathes, and then I read The Fire Between High and Low. But out of those two, this is the one. This did things to me. So this is a small town romance, and what are your names? Your names are Elizabeth, Tristan and Elizabeth. So Elizabeth is a single mom. Her husband passed away, I think it was almost a year ago, and she's been living with her mom, but she feels like, okay, her and her daughter need to move on, just kind of start to move on with their lives. So they move into this house beside this grumpy man right here. Yes, he is a grump. This is a grumpy sunshine. So much. He is dealing with so much trauma and so much guilt, and it just comes out in anger. And he's just grumpy. But he starts doing little things for Elizabeth, like shoveling or the trash or fixing things. And then you just start to see him let down those walls, and it's so beautiful. They are two very broken people that need each other to put the pieces back together. And I absolutely loved this. I'm so glad that I finally read this. I have not finished the series yet. There's 4, but they're all standalones. I will get to it eventually, but this was so good. This was so good. And then we move from June to July. And July was the banger of a month. Oh my gosh, I love July so much. Because let me tell you why. Because in July, I took a trip down to... I make it seem like I went somewhere. I didn't go anywhere, but I did take a trip with my mind to this lovely place. I can't even tell you where it's at. Where is this place located? It's blowing my mind that I cannot tell you where this place is. Is it the South? I don't know where this place is, but I read the Ravenhood series, okay? I read all 3 books in July. I read them in like 3 weeks, like a book a week. It's unheard of for me. Who am I? And out of all of those books, this is my favorite. And I think it's everyone's favorite. I really do. Because that's why. I can't tell you why. It's the second in the series. I just can't because it's a spoiler, and I'm not spoiling anything for you. I went in so blind. I had no idea what was going on, and that's how you have to go into the series. You just don't ask anybody. There's really no triggers, so you can go in blind, I think, and you'd be fine. But it's just so good. It's so good. Look, I don't know how to explain this. And everyone says that. Like, when I was looking up people who have read the series before to kind of get an idea of what it was, they're like, I can't tell you what it's about because it's a spoiler. And it's true. Like, I literally cannot tell you anything. All I can tell you is that you're following a girl named Cecilia who is spending the summer with her estranged father so she can gain her inheritance. And she has to live with him and work at his factory that he owns. And stuff goes down from there. She meets people and stuff goes down. That's all you need to know. Go in blind. Have yourself... If you don't like this... Okay, if you've never read these and you go in and you don't like them, I don't want to hear it. Because this book was so... They were... I mean, I could do without book 3. It's like give or take. But books 1 and 2 were so good. I mean, 3's good. I mean, they're all good. But, like, this is the standout. This is the standout. Oh, I love it. And then, to wrap up the last month, which was August, the only book that I could choose for this was Don't Kiss the Bride by Carrie Ann Cole. I loved this book so much. This is a taboo, age gap, marriage of convenience, just goodness. It was just good. It was more than good. It was great. In this book, we're following, oh my gosh, I just forgot his name. There it is. Okay, I got it back. Skylar and Jude. Okay, but everyone calls him Lucky. That's his nickname. Skylar is living in, her name's Skylar, right? Now I don't know. Oh my gosh. Hold, please. Skylar. I'm right. Okay, it is Skylar. Okay. So Skylar is living in a home situation that's not the best. Her mother is a hoarder and has pretty much taken over the whole house except for Skylar's room because she keeps it dead bolted. The only way she can get out of her house is through her bedroom window. And Jude is a construction worker who's working on a home beside Skylar's high school, and one afternoon her car won't start and he stops to help her, and from there just kind of like a friendship kind of grows, and something happens one day that she has to go to the hospital and he takes her, and that's when he finds out everything that's going on with her at home, with her health wise, because her health and her mental health is not the best either, so check trigger warnings for that. And he comes up with a crazy idea of like, hey, I've got great health insurance. You have none. You need it to get the help that you need. Let's get married on paper. And she's like, at first she's like, I don't think so. I don't know you. But she comes around. She's like, you know what? It's for the best. So they have a wedding, which the cover is kind of like what she wears at her wedding. And they have one rule, and the rule is don't kiss the bride ever. Well, rules were made to be broken, and I'm so glad that it was. I loved this book. She's 18. She was held back, so she technically will be turning 19 her senior year, but she's 18. He's 34. But still, this was so good. I loved it. I loved the fact that they just they really got to know each other and just hang out, and he loved all the little things that they did, like, and he's not with it with the language, okay? So like, he's like, do you want to Netflix and chill? And she's like, I don't think that means what you think it means, you know? And he's like, well, what? And she has to explain what Netflix and chill means, and he goes, oh no, just the Netflix. I'm so glad I listened to Bestie Book Reviews, their channel, because they rave about this book. And now I'm going to also, because I absolutely loved it. Oh my gosh. If you haven't read it yet, do yourself a favor. Read it. It's so good. This cover is actually the hardcover because you can, but it's on, I think it's still on, what's that word? I can't think. Oh my God. It's still on Amazon, I think. But I wanted this cover versus which is funny because I usually like the people cover, like man and woman, but I liked this one more. So, but yes, those are the 8 books of that have been my favorites so far this year. Let me know down below, please. I would love to know like what your favorite book was of each month that you've read, because I just like talking to you guys, and it's always fun to see what your guys are reading. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new. I would love for you to stick around. My social media is linked down below as always, my Goodreads and my Instagram. If you want to stay more up to date day to day with what I'm reading, that's where you're gonna really discover it. It's pretty much on my Instagram and Goodreads. But I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye guys. Everything decided to go off. The train, the whistle, everything. Give a girl a break. Like, seriously. Ooh, catch 'em, bad man. Catch 'em, cops. That's not the cops. That would be the fire. My ring just got caught on my finger. How? Okay. It's fat fingers. Okay. I mean, they have to do like this big publicity. Did I even say that right? Publicity. I did. Okay.